Video update time. Sorry, I've been boo-hooing, and it's been a while since I have done a video. So much is going on in my life right now. Oh goodness, I can't even tell you when I did a last video. I'm actually on YouTube right now, so I'm gonna look. It's been 8 months since I've done a video. So, oh my gosh, so much is happening. So, last few videos that I did was the tour of our new house. And that's kind of why I wanted to just vlog about this real fast, is because so much is going on in our life since moving into this house. And now it's just kind of gotten very serious. So we moved into this house in January. I can't remember what day it was, but in January. And I started working for a Camden cleaning company, and that only lasted a couple weeks. I had put in an application at a store called Bell's Outlet, and I never got a call back they said that they wanted to do an interview. I went in for an interview, and it took them almost 2 months for them to actually hire me. So I took a job with Camden Cleaning Company for a couple of weeks, and it was kind of like a paid under the table type job. Anyways, fast forward to the middle of February, and in the middle of February, I started working at Bell's Outlet, and little did I know that at the end of February, I actually conceived my first child. And so now we are 8 months into our pregnancy, and we have lived in this house for almost 8 months. Alright, so I didn't really do any vlogging because I didn't really have any time to do it. And as far as the pregnancy went, I just did not feel like sharing any type of pregnancy information on social media until I was ready, and I didn't really want to vlog about it because this is my first pregnancy, and I just didn't want to focus on YouTube. I wanted to focus on me and working and everything. So I was working part-time, though it felt like I was working full-time, and today is September 29th. I actually just ended, it's been 4 weeks since I quit Bell's Outlet because at 7 months pregnant, about 7 months pregnant, I found out that I have gestational diabetes, and I could not keep up with doing my glucose, checking my glucose levels, and there just never was time for me to take a break to check it, and I just felt that I needed to just take the last couple of weeks and focus on just being healthy and everything. So I'm now currently 8 months pregnant, and I am due I'm almost 8 months pregnant. I'm due in 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. Alright, so the end of my pregnancy. So this past month of September has just been stressful, like absolutely stressful. At the beginning of September was Hurricane Dorian, and my husband, who's active duty military, got orders to evacuate from his command, so we had to leave the area and we ended up going to my dad's house in Florida. He has a beach property right on the Gulf Coast, and it's only 3 hours away, so we drove there. And my dad was actually in California because my grandma is in hospice right now. While he was there, his brother ended up having like a massive heart attack. I'm getting sidetracked, but his brother had a massive heart attack, so my uncle had a massive heart attack and had like quadruple bypass something surgery and is now recovering. My grandma is still in hospice, though they don't think that she's going to have much time. So while we were at his beach rental, he was in California with his family. We stayed at the rental property for about 3 months. Oh no, 3 months. Oh my gosh, pregnancy brain. 3 days. And he had no internet there. No internet. Thank God I brought some movies, because I just remembered last second that my dad does not have internet out in the middle of where he lives. He lives literally like 30 miles from civilization. So Charlie and I just basically chilled, watched the sunset, played with Aries, and watched movies for 3 days. And then on the way back, what day was it? I don't think we left. I think we left Sunday evening on the 1st of September. Or was it the 2nd? I can't remember. I want to say that we left Wednesday the 4th, and we didn't get back until Saturday. Friday or Saturday? Yeah. So we got back, I want to say Friday night, and my husband had to go into work on Saturday and Sunday and the rest of the weekend. Well, on the way back, my husband got sick. He, for some reason, whenever we go someplace, whenever we travel, he gets sick. So he ended up going to the emergency room when we got back, because he was having chills, had a fever, and he ended up having bronchitis and pleurisy, I want to say it was. And those are highly contagious, so he actually was on medication to where he couldn't work for basically the second week of September. So basically the 9th through the 14th, technically the 15th, he was out of work because of the medication he was on. They will not allow him to work his job, whatever he does, down in the secure area. So on the 16th of September, which was almost 2 weeks ago exactly, tomorrow it will be 2 weeks exactly, he ended up going back into work. And I was starting to get things going. I had been, for the second week of September, I had been quarantined in our bedroom. And he was quarantined in his room, which is on the other side of the house, so that I didn't catch anything. Being 7 months pregnant, I do not need bronchitis, even though about beginning of August I was actually diagnosed with bronchitis, but they gave me medicine and it went away in a day. Like, absolutely wonderful. I didn't have to deal with the regular bronchitis. Okay, so anyways, so we're in the 3rd week of September, and on Friday the 20th, so not this past Friday, but the Friday before last, I'm doing my thing. I don't know what I was doing. Normally when Aries barks, I usually just ignore it, because it's usually just he's looking outside. But this time somebody was actually at the door, and I answered it, and this guy is there holding a piece of paper, and he basically let us know that the house that we are renting was foreclosed at the beginning of September, and we had 45 days to be out of the house. And that would put us at November 2nd to be out of the house, and I'm due the following week, like the 2nd week of November. Let me just double check. So the 2nd of November, I'm due the 3rd week of November. Okay, so the 20th, we had that to deal with, and I just couldn't believe it. So back in April, so we moved January, February, March, April. We had another foreclosure scare that actually went away. Somebody came over and started taking pictures of the outside of our house, and that was concerning. And my husband confronted this dude, and he's like, look, sorry, your house is on the foreclosure list, so I just came by to see and take pictures for the website. And then we ended up going to our rental agency, and they got in contact with something because we received something in the mail, and then it turns out that the homeowner ended up making a payment and the house was no longer in foreclosure. But this time it was legit. The house apparently got sold in July, and then the VA now owns it, and I guess they sold it to a different bank. So since July, the house has been sold, and we've been living in it and paying rent and everything. July, August, September. And this Wednesday on the 2nd, we actually have an appointment with Navy Legal to see if we can, I guess, somehow get 3 months worth of rent back that we're paying to the owner who does not own the house as of July. And we're going to see how that goes. So, basically, Saturday and Friday, like, of all days that they could come and talk to us about this, it has to be a Friday, and nothing's going to be open on the weekend. So I had to wait until, but basically, I had to wait until Monday to find out if, to basically, like, kickstart stuff. So Friday, I started looking up places to live, other houses to rent, and it's been a very stressful day. So basically all that weekend I was looking up places to rent, sending out emails, calling people, setting up appointments, and just trying to find some place within our price range that we could rent. Tuesday was the day that they were actually able to schedule us for a viewing of any type of property. And the 2 properties that we looked at, oh my gosh. You would think that people would actually make an attempt to put a house in, clean a house after the previous occupants have been vacated out of the property, and make the house look presentable so that somebody wants to live in it. So the first house that we looked at was this tiny little house, and it's right off base. So we went there, and my husband went with me, and we walk in, and it is the smallest house we have ever been in. I wish I looked at the square footage because we would never even gone there. But it seriously looked like a crack house. That's the only thing I can say about it. It was dirty, it was disgusting, and it was just gross. So we basically said, nope, on to the next house. And the next house was actually $100 more than what we're currently paying. Right now, our basic housing allowance is $1,300, and we didn't want to go above basic housing allowance. But we decided to give it a go because the only reason we were having difficulty finding a rental property that takes German Shepherds, and a lot of places do not accept German Shepherds. Like, their insurance just doesn't cover that type of dog. So we went ahead and went to this other house, and it was a 2-story house, and this house has been abandoned for several years. At least that's what it looks like. There were spiders everywhere. There was a dead tarantula in the living room. And it was just, the house was just falling down and in disrepair. So anyways, that was our only option other than to go back to base. We really don't want to go back and live on base. So we were going to fill out everything, and then the person who's in charge of this particular foreclosure, my husband was talking with him, and there's a slight possibility that we could actually buy this house if the price is right. At first they were like, oh no, you're like, even if you buy the house, you have to move out, and it would take a couple weeks before everything's finalized and you would get possession of the property. But then all of a sudden they came back and they're like, no, if you want to buy the house, you guys don't have to move out. And like, the issue at heart is not that, like, that my husband is trying to relay over to bankers and whatnot and foreclosure agents is that in 45 days I am about to pop, and I'm in my third trimester, and stress right now for me in this pregnancy is just not something that we want to do. So there's an urgency to find a place, like an urgency, because I cannot pack up this house by myself and move anything like I did when we initially moved in here. When we left base housing and moved into this place, I packed up everything. I moved all the boxes. I took them down 2 flights of stairs, put them in my car, drove them over here, unpacked them, did all of it by myself other than the heavy stuff like the bed, obviously, the couch, and all the big bulky furniture that was put on a truck by my husband. But like all the boxes that I packed, they all got brought over here by me, and I unpacked them. I carried them. I can't do that at 8 months pregnant. It's impossible. So there's an urgency to find a place as soon as possible. Today is the 29th. So tomorrow is the last day of September, and we will have just over 4 weeks to find a place. We did go to base housing because on Wednesday, I believe it was. Yeah, so we viewed the properties on Tuesday. We were not satisfied with them, and we went to the office, the rental office, and we're like, look, this house is just disgusting. If you can bring it down $100, we'll gladly take it, but this property needs it, like, it needs to be move-in ready by the time we move in, and it's not set to be ready until October 16th. And they just couldn't guarantee that, and they weren't willing to negotiate the price because apparently another potential tenant brought forward all this list of stuff, and they were quote-unquote starting to work on it. But when we viewed the house was just spider-filled galore. And I actually have pictures of it because I was so grossed out by how many spiders there were. So we never went back to the office even though we said we would. And then finally Wednesday I just had a complete meltdown. I just lost my shit. Excuse my French. I lost my shit, and I basically just bawled because that night when we got back from viewing the properties, I again looked at more properties, and at this time I just listed like 5 or 6 properties that were in our price range. It didn't matter if they had a backyard for Aries. And the Wednesday, the 25th, the realtor said none of those properties except German Shepherds. So then I lost my shit completely. I had a meltdown, and I just let my husband know. I was like, you're gonna have to go to base housing because I've looked at every single property that is available at this moment, and there are none other than the 2 that we looked at that accept German Shepherds. Everything else is taken or will not accept German Shepherds. So he went there and applied for base housing, and then I had to call my doctor to get them to fax over the proof of pregnancy basically to the base housing office, because if you have 3 in your family, you get a bigger unit, a bigger house, or I don't even know. And so I had to deal with that. And then Thursday I had doctor's appointments all day long, and then also the banker was going to send out somebody to appraise the property so that we could get a price on the property. So we basically got up, I went to my first appointment, which was the ultrasound, and then came back, made lunch, and then went to my second appointment, and then we waited and waited and waited all effing day for this person to come out to appraise the house, and nothing. No show. And so my husband called this dude like 17 times, and it's not like, it's just rude. When you say you're going to send somebody over, please be respectful and send that person over. Time is of the essence right now. So, Friday, we wait. She sets up an appointment for like 2:30 in the afternoon, and then shows up. It takes her like an hour to go around and see all the stuff with the property, take pictures, yada yada. And then we're basically like hounding her and be like, please give us a reply at the end of the day so that we can know, because it's Friday. Yeah, no reply. So now we are on Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. We're hoping that tomorrow we get an answer as to what the price or value of this property is, if they're going to sell it, and if it's in our price range, we are going to go ahead and buy the house. If it's not in our price range, then tomorrow I will start packing up the remainder of our stuff. Not that we have very much, because apparently when we moved in, I didn't unpack half of what we owned. But there's still a lot of stuff to pack. So it's just frustrating, like extremely frustrating. Having to pack and move this late in a pregnancy. And I have to do it by myself because my husband does not get any additional time off until the baby gets here. When the baby gets here in November, he gets 14 days maternity leave and then has to go right back to work. And already this month he's been off for about 5 or 6 days because he was sick and could not work. Oh. But yeah. And this video is like totally just last minute, but I figured I'd give y'all an update. But yeah, I've packed a couple of boxes. I don't know if you can see. I've got boxes here because I started packing them. My husband's like, oh wait, don't pack just yet, because we might not have to move out. So I haven't packed since like a couple days ago. And then I've got all these boxes here. The bathroom is pretty much packed up, other than basically what's packed up is the stuff that we don't use, which is basically all my clothes and crap that I don't use because I'm big, fat, and pregnant. I'll actually show you real fast. So I'm big, fat, and pregnant. Woohoo. And so yeah,